Accelerators organization, good day. This is Joel Gandara. Pleasure to be here with you guys. I've had the privilege of doing these mentor sessions now for a few years, and Sean Thomas taught me how to go live on Facebook. He probably really showed me how to use Facebook. I'm an old man when it comes to these sort of things, and this is the only situation where I ever do Facebook Lives. So happy to be here with you guys. I normally get a chance to read all of the questions, and I've had a busy couple of days, so I only read the first question, and so the rest are going to catch me off guard. Here we go. The first, no, I always forget to do this. I always forget to introduce myself. I remember it as I'm about to start. So I've been an entrepreneur all my life, and I did work for other people in my teens and my 20s, and that's the last time I worked for anybody, a couple decades ago or more. And I built an apparel company, a fulfillment center business, and a few other businesses, and I've invested in a lot of others. And recently sold this year, I sold those other two businesses, and now I get to just coach and just live what I think is a pretty good life. All right, here we go. First question is from Bobby Pereza, and his question is one that you hear a lot from entrepreneurs. It's kind of the shiny object syndrome. How do I get more focused on fewer things that will actually get me better results? I am a general contractor, and I also do some property rentals as an investor. And I also am looking to bring a new Mezcal brand to the US. I have a lot going on, but my day-to-day money is my general contracting business. I am not super organized and not great with computers. I am very hands-on and use paper files. I know there are better ways to do this, but I don't know where to start. I have Sean as a business coach now helping. I wanted to get your thoughts on how you got more focused in your life and business, and maybe that can help me. All right, Bobby, you're not alone. This is a very common thing for entrepreneurs. The reason we are entrepreneurs oftentimes is because we can't just sit down at a 9 to 5 and work for somebody else because our head wants to explode. We're thinking about 100 other things. So once we start our own business, guess what? It doesn't stop. Your way of thinking and your wiring of your brain continues the same. What does that mean? That means that you're working at this business, this main thing that's making you money, but then you get an idea and you start exploring that. And then you get another one and you start exploring that one. Probably when you go to bed, you're thinking about the business and the other business, and it doesn't stop, right? It's like your brain's a Ferrari and it's going really, really fast, and it's hard to slow that down. I think it takes decades to finally be able to let go and stop and not be worrying all the time about 100 things. So here's my thought on that. And you got a good coach. You got Sean Thomas. He's going to bring you a tremendous amount of value, and I'll see if I could add anything in addition. So I would challenge you to become extremely impressive at one business first. That's fine. Have those other ones. Let them operate, build them up, explore, invest, do everything you got to do there. But that general contracting business, that's your bread and butter. That's where you're making money. That's what you live off of. Why don't you use that? Because it's a very good investment. Whatever you invest into that business is a very safe investment compared to, well, I could put $20,000 into this other thing that I don't know if it's going to give me anything. But why don't you just become super impressive at your general contracting business first? Again, keep doing those periphery things on the side, but take a little bit of time. You say you're not great with computers. Okay, that's in the past. Forward, you can become pretty good at computers. You don't have to be great, but basic things that you are doing on paper, just learn how to do that. Get somebody to come in and show you the process that you show them, here's the process I'm using. Here's how can I make it better? You don't have to know how to do it. And someone else can come in and say, all right, good. Just use this software and you put everything in here and you can access it from anywhere you are. You can automate invoices to clients. You can mark when payments are received, and your life is going to become a lot easier. I used to be the king of doing my business manually 20 years ago. And then I discovered QuickBooks and I started putting inventory in there. It's not the best inventory solution, but that's how I started. And then I started putting invoices. And when payments were made, I could see them. I would not document them. And then at the end of the month, I could see who owed me money, how much profit I made, where my money was going. I highly recommend organizing yourself and becoming a pro at this one business. The other ones can remain just thoughts and explorations and keep doing all of that. I don't want you to think I'm discouraging you. Go ahead and do 100 businesses at a time if you have to, but become really, really good at one. Organization is so important. I have somebody, a brand new coaching client, just flew in from Houston and spent the weekend, and we visited together on 2 of the days this weekend, and that's how we kicked off the coaching together. And he was blown away at the simple suggestions that I was making. He's got a big business with multiple departments. Each one has a department head. And the what we looked for in that conversation was, where are the bumps? What's costing me money? What's giving me a headache? What's wasting time? What's frustrating employees, the teams? And let's focus on fixing those processes. And when we do, things are going to just start flowing easier. Your life's going to become better. You're going to be more relaxed, and you're going to have more time to bring in that new brand, and you're going to have more time to look at managing your investment properties. That's my recommendation, Bobby. I sure hope that helps. Give me 1 minute while I drink a little bit of water. This is what happens when you talk a lot. All right. Next question is from Carl Clark. How often should I be meeting with my team to keep a great company culture and prevent any team conflicts? I have a residential and commercial cleaning company in New Jersey and a team of 8 people. 4 are W-2, with one being someone I am trying to turn into a team manager. We do not have an office, so we don't do full team meetings. We use texting for communication, and I speak with our team daily as I get out there and work with them side by side. We do well, but I want to level up and grow this company. What could you suggest as to how I can better my culture, increase team loyalty, and grow the company? All right, Carl, you're on a great path. That's great that you have texting for communication. Maybe you set up a WhatsApp group or something like that. I think that is good culture, and maybe old methods don't include that because that wasn't a thing. But I think that kind of helps with not having to have a daily huddle where you all come together every single day. But you could consider that. It's called the daily huddle, right? So whether it's a team of 8, so let's say 4 are working at one location, 2 at another one, and 2 at a different one. I don't know how you set it up, but the ones working together could have a quick 3-minute every day when they're about to start, whether that's after hours because they're cleaning an office or whatever. They could just come together really quick and say, all right, guys, here's how it's going. The building's happy the way we've been cleaning. They did say that make sure we close the gate where the dumpster's at every night, because the other day we left it open, blah, blah, blah. It's just housekeeping really quick. All right, guys, let's see if we can get out of here by this time. And if you need anything, the team lead or whatever says that. If you need anything, get a hold of me. I'll be on the 7th floor and this and that. Let's go do it. And that's quick. That can be done in 2-3 minutes. Now, you want to really build culture? On Friday, you all come together, even if that's on speakerphone, a bunch of you, or however you do it, or a quick Zoom, and every single person can maybe get 2 minutes and say something personal and say, here's what I'm looking forward to this weekend. And that could be the topic every time. And they say, it's my son's birthday, and we're going to a park, bringing some of his friends and family, and really looking forward to that. And another person shares that it's their anniversary. And so they're all looking forward to sharing what they're going to be doing the weekend, because that's important to them. And you get to know about your employees, and then you get to make little notes and say, aha, son's birthday. So it's Sunday. And you put that in your calendar. And on Sunday morning, you text your employee and you say, hey, I hope it's a great birthday party for your family. I want to talk about culture from the top, where you're taking care of people and worrying about them. You also get to hear if they say, well, I had big plans, but my car broke down and I'm not going to be able to go. And you get to hear the good, the bad, the ugly from your employees, and now be involved in that relationship. To me, that's how you build culture, because the way you're going to treat those employees as a result of those conversations is going to lead to them treating each other better. Because they go, I work for a company where my boss cares about me. So they're not going to go through this whole thought process, but I should probably be a little more caring to my coworker, because look, my boss is taking care of me. He's making me happy. And so they're happy, right? It all comes from the top. You go to a restaurant and the service is horrible and they're kind of rude. Meet the owner, meet the manager. I promise you they're the same way. It always comes from the top. Those really nice restaurants that treat you amazing, meet the owner, meet the manager. I promise you they're super nice people. There might be exceptions to that, but I haven't found them. So you be that exemplary person. You take care of the people. The reason people quit jobs is rarely because they pay them more money. It's usually comes from, well, you know what, my supervisor, my boss, the owner, I don't really like him. He doesn't treat me well. He doesn't care about me. Oh, they're offering me an extra dollar an hour over there. Yeah, I'm going. But if they love you and you love them and you treat each other very nicely and respectful and you worry about them, it's hard for them to leave. They're going to have to be offered $2 or $3 an hour more to leave, and that's good. That keeps your business more loyal and more united. All right, Carl. I hope that helps. All right, Madeline. You've got a challenging last name. Let me have a crack at it here. Ugbogbo. Ugbogbo. So Madeline Ugbogbo. How do I start figuring out what would be my best first company? I know this is a tough question. Madeline, you're absolutely right. It's I know this is a tough question. So maybe you could help me by explaining how you found your calling and built your company. How did you know it was the company you should start? I come from a very low income background. I have been in and out of two very abusive relationships, and I am now gaining confidence and building my next chapter of my life. I'm a good speaker and I'm a trainer for medical assistants. I'm a hard worker. How do I take my training experience and good communication skills and find out what business would be good for me to start? All right, Madeline, glad you're out of those bad relationships. The reason I'm even bringing that up, and I'm glad you did, is because you're not going to have a very successful business if you get yourself into another abusive relationship. That's the first thing I think you need to work on is making sure stay single. It's way better to be single and alone than in bad company. So, and why am I even focusing on this when this is a business group, an entrepreneur group, is because so often, I work not exclusively, but I specialize in working with men, and so often the difference between the really successful and the not as successful in a holistic, well-rounded approach in life, it's usually having a good partner by your side. That is so important. All right, so very important. As far as my story, before I share my story, I'll share a conversation I had with my son who just turned 10 years old. We had that conversation this morning. We walk down and wait for the school bus every morning, and he usually shoots baskets. And today was great. He has several basketballs, but the one he grabbed today apparently didn't have enough air in it. So he said he shot a few shots there at the park where the bus picks him up, and he said the ball's got no air. And I said, all right, then walk with me. I had the dog, and we just walked around the park while we waited for the bus to pick him up for school. And in my family, we have 4 kids. We talk about business and finances every single day. One way or another, it pops into our family chat group, into our conversations, over dinner, somewhere with one kid, it'll come up. And he says to me, I've got a business idea. And by mind you, he's 10 years old. He has over $5,000 in the bank. He makes money. All my kids make their own money. They become financially independent when they're 16 and they start paying rent at 18. I have one 16-year-old, an 18-year-old, and then 2 smaller ones. That 18-year-old has been on his own financially for the last couple of years, just bought his car cash this month, pays his own insurance, takes care of everything, just turned 18 and still has a lot of money in the bank. He's built all of that on his own. So I've got stories for all those kids. I'm actually presenting tomorrow to an entrepreneur group on how to build successful, independent children. I'm not good at very many things, but so far I'm 4 for 4 with that in my life. So my son, 10 years old, is telling me some business idea of his, and he says, you know how things go up in price because of inflation? See, they're pretty smart. He actually said those exact words. He said, I saw a case where a guy bought some expensive tennis shoes and he held on to them for 10 years. He paid $1,200 for them. He sold them for $30,000. He said, what do you think if I do that? And he's got the money. He could buy several of them at those prices. And I said, you could do that. And that's kind of waiting to see if things will be worth it. I gave him my example. When I was a kid, I thought baseball cards were going to be the best thing in the world because that's what they told us. They said, if you just hold on to these baseball cards, you're going to be rich one day. So I held on to 30,000 baseball cards. As a kid, anytime I had a dollar, I'd go buy a couple of packs of cards. I'd take very good care of them and put them away. That didn't happen. It didn't go up the way that they said it would. Some cards did, but the great majority are worthless. So I just held on to cardboard for decades, and it wasn't worth a lot of money. So I explained all that to him. And I said, and also, you're going to buy $1,000 pair of shoes and just hold on to it. Imagine if you just take $100 and you invest in something small and resell it, and then you made another 100. And now you do it again and do it again. And in a year, you could do that 4 times. You now have $400 off of only $100. You're not holding on to stuff. So a lot of the money that my children have made has been through chocolates. They buy $1,000, $2,000 at a time of wholesale chocolates. Comes from the top. My 18-year-old does that. He brings in a big pallet to the house, put it everywhere. He wholesales it to his 3 younger siblings and makes a few bucks per box, and then they go out and sell. And they make a lot of money. So I told them, why don't you just focus on that and keep doing what you're doing, keep selling chocolates, but start listening and say, ask people, what else do you like? I could bring other things. What would you like? At his age, maybe it's, who knows? I don't know. Pokemon cards. These are the examples I gave him. Maybe they're liking these cool erasers that they're selling somewhere, and then you start getting into it. But I said, but if you're not selling them those chocolates, you're not in front of people doing transactions. Once they buy the chocolate from you, you've psychologically trained them to spend money with you. So guess what? As you having those conversations and you say, what else do you like? What else could I bring that you would like to buy? And maybe it's this thing you can go on Alibaba.com or AliExpress and buy them and start presenting them to them. My kids have sold everything. I remember when they were in kindergarten and second grade, they started going on Alibaba or AliExpress.com and buying these tiny little cute Angry Bird erasers. And the cost of them was nothing. I think they were like 3 cents each or whatever the number was. And they would sell them for 25 cents each. And they'd buy a big bag at a time and sell through them and then do it again. But they'd also be selling them chocolates. And this is all in elementary school. And yes, my kids all got in trouble for selling at school. And my advice to them was keep doing it, just don't get caught, because it happened to me a lot and I just would avoid getting caught. You're not breaking a law. You're just selling candy and making money. And by the way, in elementary school, middle school, high school, whatever, what better lesson is there for life than buying products, worrying about cost of goods sold, delivery, all that logistic, getting the products, feeling pressure of having put money into it, and then making money at school? To me, that's what school was about. That's what I did. I wasn't there to learn anything. And, I learned whatever. I know how to multiply and divide and add and subtract. And I know history and a little bit of science. That's enough. But I got to sell. So all that, Madeline, I'm not going to give you my whole story. It's out there on the internet. You can look up how I started in business. But figure out where you are today, and don't think of business as this massive, overwhelming thing. You do not need a corporation. You do not need a bank account. You do not need a website. None of that to start. You'll need that later, absolutely. But go dabble and go test things. You work in this field. I don't know. What do those people need? Do they need coaching that you can provide them? Do they need, because you said you're a good trainer, you're a good speaker. Okay. Do they need any equipment that maybe you could provide? Can you go out and spend an hour a day on Google, on Alibaba or these sites, looking for products that you could bring in to offer to the people around you and in your world? That's how I would start looking at it. It's just testing. You're not going to pick the business. It's going to pick you by you doing a lot of research, and then it's going to guide you. And there's going to be, capitalism has this beautiful thing called an invisible hand. You are going to be the supplier. You're selling things to people, but you don't decide what that is. The market, the free market, people will decide what that is. You just get out there and figure it out. And maybe I'll give you an example just because whatever I can grab here. This is a little piece of plastic, a little piece of rubber that you bite down on. Yeah. And it helps you develop a stronger jaw and stronger facial structure, helps your breathing, all these things. Maybe, I don't know, I start buying these for $4 and I start telling people, look at the benefits of all of this. I recommend it. And they start buying them from you for $15. Great. Start having conversations with every client of yours and asking them, what else do you like? And what do you suffer from? What can I help you with? And that's research, and it costs you nothing. All right, Madeline, I hope that helped. Final question is from my friend Alex Wilkins. How do I become a better leader in my service-based business? I have a design landscape business where we do custom curbing, trim, retaining walls, etc., not mowing. It requires more skill than normal landscaping work, and I am having the toughest time training people and leveling them up enough to trust them, where I can build several teams and know work is getting done sufficiently for customers and we take care of our equipment. I have very high standards both in skill and effort. and I feel my team doesn't care like I do and doesn't work as hard as I do? How can I get them to level up and do better? And how do I find the 1 to 2 people who I can make team leaders and grow the business? It is very mentally tough for me. Sometimes I think I should just do things on my own and not grow. Alex, don't give up, man. It's probably not the best thing for you to do things on your own and not grow. I had that temptation. I've been there. I remember a conversation with my accountant, and I was getting super frustrated. And I said, you know what? I'm going to close. This is my first warehouse. I'm going to close this warehouse. I'm going to lay off 3 people, and I'm going to take this back to my house, and we're going to run it out of my garage the way I used to do it. I'll just take 1 employee with me. And that would have been the biggest mistake of my life. Because right after that, she convinced me, she got me feeling a lot better and thinking straight. She's still my accountant. That was many years ago, a couple decades ago. And shortly after that, I really started picking up the business. And it would have been the biggest mistake. So don't give up. Let's see. You want to be a good leader for your business. You got to show up in the most impressive way possible. You got to not snap at employees. You got to be a professional. You got to look the part of, like, this is what a leader looks like. Look, in presidential elections, oftentimes the taller candidate wins. What does it have to? It has zero to do how tall you are. It has nothing to do with anything. But that's what people visualize as a leader, right? Probably, I'm guessing, more politicians win who are male than female because what? Historically, all our lives, as we were little, we saw men in positions of power. But maybe the gender has nothing to do with it. But that's what people have in their mind, right? Uh, Presidents wear suits. If a president were always to just be in a t-shirt and jeans, he could probably still do a great job or a bad job, whatever. But we are expecting a president to show up in a suit. So it's all perception, and you got to fill in that perception so that people go, whoa, this guy's no joke. He's not a slacker. He takes things seriously. Let's see what else. You got to build leaders. If you keep telling your employees what to do, then they're just going to be followers and they're just going to be employees. Imagine that you don't have kids. I happen to know Alex well. I have kids. If I told them what to do all the time, I would just have a bunch of drones that just do what I say and they just robots. That's not fun. And then I got to be the boss every day. I don't have to be the boss of my children very much. And I didn't have to be the boss of my employees very much. Definitely don't have to be the boss of my wife. I'm the leader. They're all going to follow me. But I do that by making them leaders. And then they're completing my ultimate mission, right? The ultimate mission is to finish this landscaping job, this trim job in a beautiful way. Here's the job, here's the rules, here's the specs, here's how we got to do it. Remember to go this way and turn 90 degrees, and you tell them all those things. But remember, that's the ultimate mission. That's what we want to have done ultimately. If you have to tell them every step of the way and be there telling them what to do, that's not a good employee. Or maybe that's a good employee. It's not a good leader. And I don't want employees who are just followers. I want leaders. So you have them come up with the plan. You have them have to give face with the employee. I'm sorry, with the customer as well. So the customer explains it all to them. And you're there too. But you're saying, hey, this is my lead guy. Please tell them exactly how you'd like that done, if this is the case. And they're telling him, hey, yeah, so I want this, this, and this. And then afterwards, you're going to have a private conversation with that employee of yours, and you're going to say, all right, you got it? That's what you're going to do. How do you want to attack it? That employee gives you all the feedback and says, all right, here's what I'm thinking. We're going to do this. I need Bob on this. I need Tom doing this. And then if you think that's a perfect plan, you go, hey, fantastic. Knock it out. I'm going to be taking care of that other project. Let me know if you have any questions or you need anything. If you want to FaceTime me later, we'll see how it's going. But leave trust in them once you feel like, okay, I think they can handle this little by little. What I want is that I want them to know the ultimate mission. It's to finish this job nicely, happy customer. Now, the little details, hey, you're a leader with me. Help me decide what they are. Present me the plan before we do it. And if I find any holes in that plan, you don't have to tell them this. This is between you and I, Alex. You find any holes in that plan? They're like, well, I'm thinking of doing this first, and then I'm going to go dump the stuff over here. And then don't tell them, nope, that's wrong. That's not going to work. Don't say that. Because now they're just coming to you for all the instructions. You don't want that. You say, well, do you see anything that could go wrong with that? Now you made them think, and making people think is extremely powerful because now that it's going through their brain. It's not just problem, go to Alex, he gives me solutions. That's the wrong approach. It's problem. Let me process it. Let me spit back to Alex either right now or in the next few minutes, come back to him with what I think would be the solution to that potential problem. So, Alex, you are presenting potential problems to them. Okay, that plan could work. Good job. But what if this happens? Because you know that's going to happen. You've been doing this long enough, Alex. You know what the problems are. So you present it to them this way and let them come up with some solutions. You help coach them through it. And that's how you create leaders. Now, finally, all your arrows have to align in a business. We know your arrow, Alex, which way it's pointing. It's pointing this way to high profits. You want to make money. That's why you're in this business. I need to make money. Now, if you're paying someone per hour, what is their job? What is their arrow going? It's going in a different direction than yours. Because the longer they can work, the more hours you're going to pay them, right? But if they go in the direction that you're going, like, hey, you're as a leader, you're getting a piece of this. All right, employee number one, my lead guy, you're going to get, the jobs cost this much. We're probably going to profit this much. I'm going to give you this much percentage. So something to try. I did this in my business. And guess what would happen? Every time there was expenses in the business, that came off of the profit. Oh, you broke the equipment? Well, you're not going to get paid very much. You're not going to buy the new machine. So then guess what happens? They start taking care of your equipment. They start making sure the guys are working faster because the hourly pay is adding up. All I want in my life is for everyone that's with me to go in the same direction. The last thing I want is that I want to go buy these expensive golf clubs and my wife is yelling at me because she doesn't want me to buy them. And she wants to go spend money on this $2,000 purse. We're going in different directions. Let's figure out a way, and that's why I choose the people who are in my life, who we all go in the same direction. Fortunately, I don't play golf. It's too boring for me. My wife doesn't like expensive purses, but we both love to invest. So I chose her in my life. She chose me. We go in the exact same direction. And there's this harmony and this flow in my marriage and with my children, although that's tough because they're developing their personalities. But I find the opportunities to all go in the same direction. And definitely with my employees, that was a huge one for me before I sold my businesses. It's to have my employees going in the same direction. We're all getting incentivized. I want you to work less hours. You want to work more hours. That doesn't work. All right, let's see if we can have a bonus structure here with the key employees. So you're going to make sure that you make money as I make money. You lose a little bit of money when I lose money, or not lose it in their case. I didn't take away money from them. They just made less of a profit share. All right, I think that's it. Those are all of the questions. I hope that helped everyone. Thanks again, Sean Thomas, for having me here. I get to share and provide you guys with something. Hopefully it's some feedback that helps. But I'll tell you what, it nourishes me as well. You guys remind me of where I was at when I was starting out. And it's scary, but it's also exciting. The potential that's out there is really amazing. And I'll share one last thing. Madeline said on her question that she grew up in a low income. That has nothing to do with it, Madeline. In fact, I think that's a superpower. The kid who grew up with a lot of money and a lot of stuff and all the toys that he wanted doesn't have the fire that we have inside. I grew up very poor. I came here on a boat from another country and grew up very, very poor. And I'll tell you, that was a superpower for me. Just like ADD, ADHD, that's been a superpower for me. I can't focus on one little boring thing. So I focus on multiple things and I get people going on each one and we move forward and we get things done. That's what being an entrepreneur is about. And again, those are superpowers. So don't limit yourselves by what your past is, what issues you have today. You can turn these around and become very successful. So start thinking about those things differently. When I went from making $50,000 a year to 7 figures in profit every year, nothing changed. I was still the same person in the same body. I was living in the same house. Nothing changed except for right here, right in between my ears. I started thinking differently, and that changed everything for me.